Okay, I think we're live. I got a new setup here, and I'm just starting to use it. So God is so wonderful, and He is good, and above all things, great. And when I talk about Him, I talk about Him. Him is not me. Him is Jesus, and we have to look at things from his perspective. He's really great. He's really great. And when we learn from him, we we see what you can learn from. You learn a lot of things from him that is really amazing. And he shows us these things in some awesome ways. And when we just look towards him and look towards our future with him, we receive great things and we learn great things from him. And so when we just look at these things, we are amazed by what he does. And usually I have like something, but sometimes we don't always know where he is or what he's doing. We're found in him, but we don't always know what his plans are and what he does. And so when we've entered this time of missing him, we know him and we know what he has and we learn from him. And so when we really experience the Lord, we experience who he is. And we see these little things about him as we go along and understand our life with him. We understand what he is. He's glorious. He's wonderful. And he frees us and makes us better. And he shows us the things that we need to know. We're in a better place when we're freed up by him and we learn from him and we know him. We know who he is, we know how he is and what he does, and we know where we're going with him. And we learn from him and we experience him. And so when we experience him, we understand him and we see his face and we grow with him. And so when we want to just understand what is him, it's his character. It's everything about him. It's his nature. It's his life. It's his understanding, his impartations, his love, his prayer, his grace, his glorious things that he does. All the work that he does, and he continues to work for us and not against us, and does everything for us. And we understand him and we walk with him. And so when we really understand the fullness of Christ, we understand his glory, we understand who he is, we start to understand the fullness of his life in us. And we start to understand who we are and who we can be and what life's about. And so we lift him up. We lift him up and we take him with us to the next level. We understand the life that he has and we understand the life that he is. And so understand God's glory. God's glory is beautiful. It's full of life, it's full of understanding, it's full of him. And so we understand that, and we understand um everything that he's about. And so when we're like moving towards him, when we're trying to understand him, we get a picture of it, but we don't understand the full measure of it. And we get the Lord from our love. We receive him from our love. And he is externally loving, and he has an external love towards us that emanates from his own body. He's a glorious being, and we receive his love, and we experience his love, and we experience everything about him, and we're just at all of his love. We're at all of his glory and his life that he is. And so when we just want to know him, we want to understand him, we want to just take things to the next level with him and be his friend. We understand what he is and who he is. He is good. He is really good. So, what can I say else about him? He's him. He's glorious. He's good. So we work in a higher measure, and we work in a greater measure to love him and see him and feel what we're supposed to feel. And we don't know what to feel sometimes, and we don't know how to feel it, and we don't know what to feel. And so we're just at this place where we're trying to figure out, what do I do? How is this going? Where is this going? And what do I say or do? And then we experience the world differently, and we understand him and understand the world. And so we go to the Lord, and we let him show the way, and do what we're supposed to do. And when we go about things in a better way, we understand a path that we're supposed to take. And when we understand the path that we're supposed to take, we experience life eternal with him. And it's beauty and glorious and wonderful. And all these things look in the ways that they're going to look. We look at these things. We experience the ways that we're experiencing, and we know what's life. We experience life. So, what am I to say? What am I to do? You know, and we want to give our heart to God and everything, and understand his beauty, understand his glory. And so we do that. We come about things in a better way. And we experience him, and we love him, and we do all the things that he wants us to do. So we look towards him, and we look towards his message, and we experience him and experience his way. And then there's the way. Because we've seen it, we understood it, we felt it, we know it. Here is the way. So when we look to God with all our heart, we search for him, and until we find him, then we have a beautiful thing. We experience his way. And so we come together yearning for God, yearning for his way. And we come together to see the life flowing from him, to see the glory of him, to see the beauty of him. And we know his way. So, folks, look towards his way. It's a wonderful thing when we experience something about him. We experience the things about him. We experience his smiles and his movements and who he is, and there he is. And we see it. We're going about our way, and we experience him and what he is, and we're like, there he is. That is it. I know that's him. And we experience everything, and we really start to see the grace and the truth of who Jesus Christ is. And we experience the way. And that's what we have to be looking for and filling out. We fill out the way. We fill it out as we go. We go towards what he is, and we know what he is. He is it. He's the way. He gives grace, and he gives love, and he gives truth, and he gives everything that we ever wanted. We just experience his abundance and and who he is, and we understand it, and we grow in him. He gives grace and glory and honor and beauty. He gives all these things, and he gives all the glory of God. Such glory and power and honor and beauty he gives. He gives such ways that we've always wanted to know and always wanted to see and always wanted to be a part of. He gives everything from him. He gives what we want, what we need, what we're looking for, what everything that we want and desire, he gives. He gives us heaven. Heaven is not a mere term. It is a glory. It is an honor. It is a beauty. It is something wonderful that we've always wanted. When we look for something that we want, the highest want of what we could have is what heaven is. And so we've always wanted it. We've always dreamt for it. We always looked for it. And we always looked for these things, and we always wanted it. We always had it. And it's been right here. Heaven rests right here. It rests in our hearts. It comes through Jesus Christ. It is the way. It is the truth. It is the life. It is wonderful to love and bear love from God, because he has it, and it's good. It is so glorious. It is so honoring. It is so beautiful. So when we go about looking for these things, when we go about resting in the Lord, when we're going about seeing everything from God, we love him. We just rest in him and enjoy him. We experience God more when we have him in our heart. When we have Jesus Christ resting in our heart, we see a glory that we hadn't seen before. We get a fire in our eyes. We get a light bursting from us that is amazing and powerful. We understand him in some ways that we didn't understand him before. A new opening of understanding just flows and emanates from us. It comes about and and shows us what life we could have. He shows us the love that we can have. He shows us the grace that we could have. Oh, how wonderful it is. He is glorious. He is honoring. He is wonderful. He is good. He is above all things wonderful. I want us all to look at God and see how He sees. He sees in such wonderful eyes. Such wonderful eyes. His eyes are so glorious and so wonderful. It's so beautiful. It's full of love. It's full of hearts. It's full of life. And I say that because when I put this on the screen, I see heart. And it makes me look in love how I should look at love sometimes. And he adores us that much that he bears hearts in his eyes, and he bears love for us in ways that we hadn't seen ways before. He is gloriously honoring and wonderful to us. He is gloriously wonderful to us. He does things from the Lord that are so amazing and so glorious and so honoring. How wonderful he is. How wonderful he is. And I don't mean this in any kind of half-hearted way or any bizarre way. I just mean this from he gives love. And sometimes we don't understand love as guys do sometimes. And I mean this from a lady's perspective, and I feel like, we have to sometimes look from a lady's perspective, and we have to understand God in the ways that we need to understand God. He is glorious and wonderful. And I said all that so I would be right about some things from the Lord. Because a man, as I am, doesn't understand some things. I have to let things flow and go with the ways that I'm hearing and feeling. And so it's not a homosexual way. It's not something that is, really I have to understand God and understand who he is. And from the fullness of my manhood, I say this: God is glorious. And, we have to understand his glory is coming from us. We understand who he is. We understand the grace and who he is. And he gave an expression that I didn't know how to say. And I had to take that from another perspective. He's a good God, and he loves us. And so when we really understand his love and understand his perspective, sometimes we have to look from other people's perspectives. And I felt like that was something that I was being connected to. And we have to understand the Lord and understand his ways. He is a good God, and we have to understand him and understand who he is. So we look in grace towards the heavenly realm. We look towards his ways. We look towards him, and we just are filled with life. We're just filled with understanding and grace. So we we bear the ways of glory for his face and for his honor and for his love. And we bear these things and we know who he is. So understand life, understand God, understand who he is. He's so good, guys. He's so good. When you understand the Holy Spirit, when you understand how glorious he is as he walks with you, we understand who he is. We understand who he is. So walk in the life of God. Walk in the meaning of God. Walk in the grace of God. Understand his grace. Feel the glory of the Lord. Walk with him. Understand him. So I'm gonna take us to the next level and understand what I'm supposed to do with God. And I'm gonna walk with him and do the things I'm supposed to do. So understand where you're at. Understand who you are. Understand the ways of God. Understand who you can be. Understand who he is. And understand what life's about. When we take these things and we hand them to God, oh, how glorious our life is. How wonderful our life can be. So look to the Lord and lift him up and see him. Understand him. Grow in the glory of God and how wonderful he can be. He is a life full of life. Understand grace. Understand life. So I'm going to end the stream. We're gonna talk about who he is. And I can't say much more than I meant to say. And I have a lot I can say because he's great and wonderful. He is full of life and love and grace. Understand his life. Understand who he is. He's life.